Welcome, everybody, to another update concerning the federal investigation of Wayne County Sheriff Department, namely the federal indictment of former Wayne County Sheriff Deputy Mike Cox. If you have been following the story, you know this deputy has been arrested by the FBI, charged with crimes ranging from federal rigging schemes to conspiring with drug traffickers to distribute cocaine and oxycodone. If you want to know the intricate details of his actions, you can go back and watch the previous video concerning the indictment. But this video is about the denial of bond, which happened earlier at the end of August 30th. He was initially denied bond by Judge Easley in the federal courts. And he, I guess, recently appealed that bond, and they had a hearing last week, Tuesday or Wednesday, in which Judge Myers upheld the denial of the bond, meaning Mike Cox will spend the duration of his pretrial time in the custody of the federal government. But I want to talk about some things that came out in this hearing Tuesday of last week. Some information basically depicting Mike Cox as a certified sleazeball. And I mean that in every sense of the word. During the prosecutor, Duffy's, his argument for Mike Cox being detained continuously before trial, he released some details of Cox's actions. Now, of course, in the beginning, he detailed the whole gamut of his actions listed in the indictment, but he also revealed some other things just concerning Mike Cox's character. Now, one of Mike Cox's conspirators that is listed as drug trafficker number 2, he was arrested. And after he was arrested, the court documents or the court records presented evidence that Mike Cox solicited the girlfriend of his drug trafficker friend. He solicited nude photos from her. Now, how did he do this? What he did was send the young lady a picture of his own genitalia, his private parts. He sent that to the young lady and asked her to send him nude photos as well. Now, not only that, the records also show that he allegedly texted the drug trafficker number 2, and he was asking him to find him prostitutes, solicit him prostitutes. Now, and they gave explicit details of the exact kind of prostitutes that Mike Cox wanted. According to sources, they say that he had a hankering for black girl magic, and more specifically, thick black girls. So, evidently Mike Cox had a case of jungle fever. He liked his coffee black, no sugar, no cream. And so those are some things that were iterated in the court. And also, even more, despicable or sleazy, it also detailed conversations with he and some other co-workers discussing the concept of wife swapping. Now, we're not talking about the television show. We talking about what's known today as swinging. He was discussing, the possibility of exchanging his wife for another man's wife and vice versa. So those are some things that came out, in this week's information concerning the trial. Nevertheless, Mike Cox still had some people who were advocating for his release. And these people are none other than his mother and father-in-law. The documents released his father-in-law, I think the name was Larry Davis, and his mother-in-law, Sue. Now, these individuals came to court and they testified, and they were willing to be what the courts call custodians of Mike Cox upon his release, meaning that they would watch over him, make sure he was not doing anything wrong, and make sure that he makes his day in court. The in-laws stated that they considered Mike Cox to be a very good man, that they had never seen him carry a gun, and I think the mother-in-law labeled him as a good Christian man. So evidently they have a different experience with Mike Cox. I know that most of the actions that we've reviewed in previous videos are totally contradictory to Christian living. Nevertheless, the judge, I think Judge Myers, he agreed that the parents, the in-laws, would be good custodial guardians of Mike Cox if upon release. But he did allow Prosecutor Duffy to argue one more time. And that's when Duffy, once again, he ran through the whole list of Mike Cox's alleged actions detailed in the 50-page indictment that I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have already read. But he also expressed his concern about Mike Cox's continued influence or power over people in the sheriff department. Like he mentioned that even when he was out of the sheriff office, he still was able to get people to run plates and look up names and do all types of things that were not privy to him, to give information that was not privy to him in his capacity as an ex-law enforcement officer. And also they expressed concern about Mike Cox's propensity to violence. They were concerned because, as listed in the court records, there are apparently other deputies who are going to testify against Cox. And so the prosecutor Duffy related arguments concerning that Mike Cox may tamper or be able to tamper or threaten witnesses. And he referenced an instance where he allegedly coerced drug trafficker number 2 to threaten to assault his daughter's boyfriend, who was only 17 years old. So a man with the heartlessness to threaten a 17-year-old kid for allegedly, I think, dating his daughter. Maybe he didn't like the guy. With an alleged drug trafficker who had allegedly shot someone, goes to show his level of outlandishness. He was labeled by Prosecutor Duffy as a cowboy who, would do anything to protect themselves. So with that, Judge Myers denied Mike Cox's bail. So Mike Cox is going to spend the duration of his time awaiting trial in custody. More than likely, he's in protective custody, PC, segregation, or as I learned today, as they try to make it less detrimental, restrictive housing unit he may be in. But the judge and the prosecutor also related many of the sentiments that I had concerning Mike Cox. They even referenced beleaguered Sheriff Larry Pierce. And they even indicated or hinted to the fact that maybe even he was the one who tipped Mike Cox off concerning the investigation being more than just about the bid rigging scheme. They said maybe it was Sheriff Larry Pierce who told him about him possibly being investigated, for other crimes, the more sinister drug trafficking and the drug affiliated crimes. Also, they said that the federal investigator has never, during their investigation, they have never seen a complaint form or an internal investigation form of the sheriff office investigating itself or complaints filed against Mike Cox. Now, they reference when Mike Cox invited drug trafficker 2 to his home, and there was another deputy there, and the records indicate that that deputy actually informed Sheriff Larry Pierce about that association. And as that deputy mentioned in court, that not in court, but I guess in affidavits, that complaint went nowhere, which further alludes or proves the point that Sheriff Pierce should be held and somewhat accountable for these actions. If people are complaining to him about Mike Cox's actions and he is not doing anything to prevent those things to continue to occur, then definitely he has some level of culpability in those actions. So this case has been ongoing. Probably we'll be waiting, for more motions or whatever. But I think this was just the appeal to the denial of bond of Mike Cox from August the 30th, and that denial of bond has been upheld. And so I guess the prosecutor wishes has been honored because they feel like Mike Cox is still a danger to society if let out. Once again, he was reportedly on pills. He reportedly, engaged in threatening activities and even setting people up, and also thwarting prosecution of those alleged to commit violent crimes. So all of these things led Judge Myers to deny the bond. And so we are going to be watching this case. Also, it came out earlier in this case that Charles Schaefer, the deputy whose home was first raided by the FBI, he was outed as subordinate number 1, which is Mike Cox's underling, in which he was one kind of performing the task of, helping Mike Cox do these actions. I think one particular incident, they said that Mike Cox called subordinate number 1 to move 4 ounces of cocaine to the evidence room when it was found out that, the ATF wanted to see the OCA report from Mike Cox's arrest of an alleged drug dealer, which he never really turned in the paperwork. So they tried to cover their tracks, and Mike Cox instructed subordinate number 1, which is Schaefer, to move that cocaine. So evidently Schaefer, who to my knowledge has not been arrested, is probably one of the deputies that's going to be testifying against Cox. And I'm pretty sure there are more. Once again, the motion of discovery has been sealed, I guess, to the public, so we won't have that knowledge. But yes, Schaefer is one who may be one to testify against Mike Cox. So, nevertheless, we're going to keep up with this case and keep up with Schaefer, Mike Cox. The case on Chris Worth has been, kind of silent. I think he's out on administrative leave. I don't know why. He should be fired, but nevertheless, that's how they do things here. But yeah, we're gonna keep up with this, and shout out once again to my man Ken Fine from the New Old North newspaper, who's been covering this trial faithfully and putting out these articles in the Wayne Week newspaper. And if you guys haven't gotten that newspaper, it is available throughout town. That newspaper, everything that I told you, they're going to give you the in-depth details of the names and some of the names of the people involved. And actually, you can get those right on. I think I saw a young lady get out of her car today, and those papers were right on John Street, right across from First Citizens Bank. I think that is at the New Old North media outlet. So, nevertheless, once again, shout out to my man for covering this. There's a lot more intricate details that that have came out about this case. Some other names of informants or people who have been working with the police that I have knowledge of, but I'm not going to say now until it becomes public knowledge, because I got a lot of backlash when I released some names that were released to the public first. So we're going to keep that information right now tight-lipped, but there's going to be a lot of other information, a lot of bombshells dropping within the next coming weeks or months. However long it takes this official trial to get underway, hopefully I'll be able to sit in on the trial. Maybe I get some press credentials or something like that. But excuse me. But yeah, this is once again a case that we've been following, and once again it just speaks to the corruption of this Wayne County Sheriff Department and also its leadership. But also once again it just shows you how sleazy this man was. As I mentioned, he's sending nude photos to young girls or young women. He's soliciting prostitutes. He's also talking about wife swapping. But this goes all fits into the whole sex, drugs, and that whole sex, drugs, and I guess rock and roll narrative, as we'll say. But or sex, drugs, and murder, whatever the case may be. But this man was definitely out of control. I'm sure the public is glad that he's off the streets, and also the public is glad that this information has come out so other people can share their stories, and hopefully, once again, those people that Mike Cox has arrested, has unlawfully prosecuted, may get some reprieve, or some reconciliation, or even some reparations concerning their sentences, their charges, or even time already convicted and served. What do those guys get? As I stated before. But yeah, y'all make sure y'all tune in, share the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel if y'all will. But yeah, we're gonna be out tonight, but we're gonna come back with more information regarding these and other matters pretty soon. Y'all have a blessed night. Peace and blessings.